Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got this question about real estate. I've done a couple of videos here. You can check out if you're interested in my real estate videos. There should be a playlist here, hopefully, or a couple of videos. Anyway, I don't talk about this all the time, but this is one of the topics. I also talk about this in my book, Soft Skills, Software Developer's Life Manual. If you're interested, I do have some sections in there that will give you some basic information about getting started in real estate investment. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old. I bought my first house, and I have a lot of properties that I've accumulated over the years. So I know a little bit about real estate investing here. So I do answer some questions from time to time here. It says, hi John, thank you for replying so quickly. Also, congratulations on your new home in San Diego. If you don't know, I am moving to San Diego. So if you are in the area, let me know, and I will be doing a meetup. I'll probably do a video when I am going to do the meetup, and I'll let all of you know that are in San Diego where it's going to be and what we're going to do. So in order to make sure I wasn't wasting your time, I went back, found and listened to your other videos on real estate, which did answer a few of my questions. Cool. I did have additional questions though. My wife and I are planning on buying our first home, which we hope to turn into a rental property in 2 to 3 years. So far, we have looked at over 100 properties online and about 20 in person in the area we're planning to live. Good, this is good. We have 2 that we are thinking about putting an offer on. Since we're looking at this as an investment property, I want to make money going in and get it at below market value. My problem is that I am struggling with how to properly evaluate these homes. I have never done this before, and we don't currently live in or near this area. How do you properly evaluate how much a home/property is worth so you know what a great deal is? Also, for when we actually do get a property ready to be rented out, when you interview your property management company, what questions you ask? Would you recommend starting an LLC or something like it for taxes/liability? Thanks for the advice, Travis. So Travis, you have a lot of questions here, bud, but I'm going to try and address as many of them as I can here. But here's the thing. So first, how do you evaluate a property, how much it's worth? If you should have a feel for it. If you've looked at 100 properties online, if you looked at 20 in person, you should have an idea of the prices at this point. That's kind of one of the first things is you spend your first few months just evaluating things, and you got to be running the numbers. So what you should be doing is every one of these properties that you're running for evaluating as an investment property, what you want to do is you want to say, look, okay, what are the numbers on this thing? How much will it cost? What would the mortgage payment be, the taxes, the insurance, all of this stuff? If I add this all up, property management fee, the whole, if there's HOAs, a little bit of repair cost budget, and you compare that against what would the rents be. Discount the rents by 10% because you want to have 100% occupancy. So, you're putting buffers on both sides just to make sure and see what those numbers come out to. And that's how you know a good deal, at least for your purposes, a good deal is going to be one that's going to bring you the highest cash flow after that's all said and done, right? So that's what you want to look for. Now, here's the thing about, this is a little tip I'll give you, a little secret that I use when I buy investment property, is I will buy property, I will put an offer on a property sight unseen, and I'm going to give you 2 strategies, 2 of my top secret strategies here that will possibly help you. So the first one is I make a sight unseen offer. When I see I know what a good property is because I've gone through that, right? I'm telling you, run the numbers. If you run the numbers, you'll see when a good deal comes out. When I see a good deal, I jump on it. I make an offer before I see the property so I don't have to waste time going out there. I might make like 3 or 4 offers in the same day, and I put a contingency clause in my offer. I say this offer is subject to the buyer's physical inspection of the property within 3 days or 3 business days. Now, what this does is it basically gives me a super escape clause. All I have to do is look at the property, and for any reason I do not like the property, I don't like the price, I found a better deal, whatever it is, I can give any reason I want, and I'm out of the contract. This allows me to move fast and to put an offer on places and to tie up the contract or tie up the property without having to go out there. Now, I go out there, I'm not just doing this. I'm doing this because these are ones that I think are good deals. I want to go out and make sure it actually is a good deal. I want to give myself some options. And so that's one strategy that works really well. And it allows you to put offers on multiple properties and then pick the one that you like the best, that turns out to be the best after you look at them and decide. So that's tip 1. Often when a good deal comes out on the market, especially if the market's hot, it's too slow if you're deliberating, whatever. If you're thinking about it too much, right? I want to say the word now, deliberating, that's the word that I'm looking for. Anyway, if you're deliberating about it, it's too late. You missed it. Someone else jumped on it. You got competition. You tie it up right away. You don't have that competition. So you got to be able to move fast. So you got to know what the deals are, and you got to be able to move fast on them. That's my tip. The other thing I would say is here's a really good tip. I don't think many people will tell you. I could probably do a whole video on this tip, but I'll give you the short version of this, which is basically this. Okay, a lot of times when the market is hot, especially, everyone knows what a good deal is, and they'll all jump on it. It gets listed, you see it show up in the MLS, all of a sudden there's like 5 offers on this property, and it ends up getting in a bidding war, and it goes up, and you don't get the property, right? You have the best shot if you do what I said about making the offer sight unseen, but a lot of times you don't. So what do I do? In that case, a lot of times what I will do is I will look for properties that are overpriced and have been sitting on the market for a while, right? And then I will make a super lowball offer on that property, and I'll do that on a bunch of them. And I'll make the offer at the point where I know that it's a good deal, a really good deal. Then what will happen a lot of times is maybe I do that for 10 properties. One of them comes back and they take the offer. And the reason why they take the offer is because since their property is actually overpriced for the market, they're getting zero action. So they're getting desperate. So when they finally see an offer come in, they're likely to take my really low offer. Whereas if they would have priced their property correctly, they would have been getting offers and they would have had a better feel for the market. But I can kind of take advantage of the fact that they got greedy, and now because greedy comes from fear, right? It's like now I can take advantage of the fear aspect, and I can basically, sometimes grab those. And I've had amazing deals where I have put in a lowball offer and someone has just accepted it, and I've gotten a steal of a deal. But I will say this also in your situation, if you're going to live in the property, right, and it's not just an investment property, you don't have to be so sharky on it, right? Like, don't waste a whole bunch of time. It's better to make a move and to buy a property that's a decent deal, right? That's a good deal than waiting for like 2 years for the great deal. Because what is the great deal going to be? It's going to maybe like you're going to get it $5,000 or $10,000 under market, depending on where you're at. It's not worth wasting that time, because it'd be better to jump on something, especially if it's something that you're going to live in and then you're going to turn to investment. You're not going to be able to negotiate as hard, right? Because you're not just going to live in any property. If you're willing to, then fine. But if you like this property, you might have to pay a little bit more for it. You might not be able to negotiate as hard. So especially if your wife is telling you, I want this property. So don't you got to weigh that in. Okay, I'm going to try to get through the rest of this fairly quickly here. So that's how you evaluate how much price. You have a good idea of making money when you go in. You should do that, definitely. But again, don't be like so penny pinching. Be willing to take the 90% deal instead of looking for the 99%. And then let's see here. So you said, when you want to get it ready to rent it out, when you interview property management company, what questions do you ask? Again, I could do a whole video on this if you want some more in depth, but basically I'll just give you a quick, make sure you line up multiple property management companies and ask them about obviously their fees. You want to know all that up front. You want some referrals, and actually talk to the referrals, the owners that have the properties, and to try to get their honest information, feedback. That's going to be really important. You want to know how they handle repairs, if they use their own company to do that, and what the cost is if they mark up the repairs, all of this stuff, what their vacancy rate is, how many homes do they manage, right? How many, for each property manager in their team, how many homes does that person manage, right? You'll kind of get the feel for this. But if you interview like 5 property management companies and you check the referrals and you just have conversations with them, you'll have a pretty good idea, and you'll come up with the questions. Again, I could come up with a whole list of questions for you, but it's not going to make as much sense until you start doing this. So would I recommend starting an LLC or something like that for tax liability? Yes, with the caveat of I am not a lawyer. I am not giving you legal advice right now, but I would say that I hold my properties in an LLC. I've never had to use it. I don't know if it would hold up. I don't know if it would be pierced. At this point, it's not a strong asset strategy, but it seems like it's simple enough to just create an LLC. It takes you like 10 minutes to do, and it's very cheap. So you might as well hold the property in LLC. That's what I figure. That's what I'm doing. Again, probably not the most airtight strategy. I'll probably at some point go back and get a more, talk to a lawyer who specializes in asset protection. But at this point, it seems like an okay strategy. But you might as well do it because it's a simple thing to do. So anyway, hopefully that answers your questions. If you have some real estate questions for me, let me know, john@simpleprogrammer.com. And I'm not gonna do a huge amount of these videos unless I get a whole bunch of requests. If you do wanna know more about, like I said, I have a chapter in my soft skills book, Soft Skills, the Software Developer's Life Manual. I may do a real estate course if you guys want. I don't know, I've got a lot of projects that I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but I really think real estate is a good investment, and I think you're on the right road, Travis. So I'm glad that you're doing this. Seems like you're doing things right, but definitely make a move. Definitely take action. A lot of people just and they never actually do it. So if you do it, it'll end up being a good investment. And again, I would tell everyone here, when you're thinking about this, think about it as an investment 20, 30 years down the road. Not 1, not 2, not even 5. And almost anything that you buy, right now, that you're going to be glad you did in 20 or 30 years, right? So that's how it is, as long as you hold on to it and make it that long. So think long-term on the investments, and that's why I say, take some kind of action. So anyway, that's it. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.